What's going on YouTube? So just because you want a premium SUV with a lot of space doesn't mean that you don't want to go off-road every now and then. That's what we're standing next to right now. This is the GMC Acadia AT4. So this is going to be the version that gives you some extra capability so that you can have that reassurance when you are venturing off the beaten path. But we want to know today, is this the trim level of the Acadia to buy? Well, let's go ahead and find out. All right, so let's get things started here with our exterior design. Now, obviously, with this all new Acadia, we do have a brand new look for this model. It's gonna take you to the latest GMC design language, which has kind of moved to slightly less harsh with the squared off shape. It's a little bit smoother than the previous generation. And you're gonna have exclusive elements for AT4. So this version has a special grille. What you'll see here is a gloss black finish along the outside edges. We have a gray kind of squiggle design that runs through the center section, and then a prominent GMC branding right there in the middle. Now, down in the lower fascia though, this is the more substantial update for the AT4 versus the other trim levels. You'll see that we have a kind of a tougher, boxy bumper look here. We do have real recovery hooks here, which are painted in red. We also are going to have additional ground clearance. So this has 1.2 extra inches of ground clearance versus the elevation trim level, bringing the total to 7.8 inches. Now, the other important thing down there is, of course, that you do have real skid plates. So it's going to protect you if you hit a rock while you're going off-road. And let's talk a little bit about the headlights. So we have premium full LED headlights on board. These are projector LEDs. We are also going to have this really bold daytime running light and turn signal indicator in that signature bracket shape. Versus Denali, you don't have animations or dynamic turn signals though. However, you do still have the LED fog lamps down here. Now moving on to our wheels, the AT4 comes with 18-inch contrast alloy wheels. This is the only design that you can get. You can, of course, in the Acadia lineup, go all the way up to 22-inch alloys. But the point of this trim level is, of course, the extra capability. That's why we also have all-terrain tires wrapping these wheels. Now, another little detail you'll see is you have illumination here on your wheel arches. And as far as our mirrors, we have a gloss black finish on board. These are going to be heated and have blind spot monitoring.
Now here at the side of the all-new Acadia, you are going to notice that this is a big SUV. As a matter of fact, it's grown about 10 inches over the previous generation. So it's about 204 inches in overall length, which is only about 6 inches shorter than something like a full-size Yukon. So it's a big vehicle, and we'll see how that translates to space as we head into the inside. As far as design elements, you do once again have the illumination on the rear wheel wells, as well as black window surrounds and raised roof rails here at the side. Now, in terms of the rear design, moving around back here, you will see an all-new look for the Acadia. Of course, this is an all-new vehicle this year. It's a little bit more rounded off than the previous generation, so that's an interesting design touch. A lot of the GMCs are a lot more squared off. I feel like this one has a little bit more of a round shape to it overall. All of this middle piece is going to be finished in a gloss black. And then as far as our taillights are concerned, these are going to be a full LED setup. So as you can see, we have an LED bracket-shaped turn signal and brake light. The one thing you are missing out on is the dynamic ability that you would get on the Denali with that model. And then as we drop down to the lower area, this is going to be finished in a rugged matte black as well as a piano black. However, we're going to retain the quad exhaust tip. So I do really like that you get the quad exhaust outlets. That's standard on every single Acadia model. As far as your tow rating, it comes in at 5,000 pounds. Now, when it comes to your safety systems, of course, this is a family SUV in addition to being off-road capable, and you are going to get all 4 of your active safety features as standard equipment on all Acadias. Additionally, here on the AT4, you can option on Super Cruise, which is something that we've added to this model that allows for hands-free highway driving, as well as on secondary roads now with the update. But guys, there's also a really nice cabin that we can't wait to show you, so let's go ahead and dive into that. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
All right, now on to the interior. Let's take a look at the key fob first of all. Typical GMC key fob, same shape. Smart entry and remote start are included on every trim level of this next generation Acadia. Getting inside, no sensor behind the handle, so just press that silver button and that will unlock the door. All right, now take a look inside the interior. First of all, as soon as you open the door, you're gonna be greeted with some animations across those new displays. And of course you have a totally new design as well. Let's talk about what you get with the AT4 specifically with seating. So this is a CoreTech and cloth seats. So CoreTech is going to be a leatherette basically, and you can see we also have cloth inserts on the bolsters. This is a nice looking seat. I like the perforation, I like the stitching details. These are going to be finished in a color contrast mahogany. We also have AT4 branding up there in the headrest itself, and the leatherette feels nice and realistic. This is the only color that you can pick on AT4. As far as the seats themselves, they're going to be 12-way power adjusting with 4-way lumbar, just like the Denali trim level, but you don't have memory seats. Let's go ahead and get inside. And now that I'm inside, let's go ahead and look at the rest of the cabin materials. Starting out with our door trim, we've got the full leatherette covering through here. We have the same type of texture from the seats up in the center section with stitching detail. We have a kind of, looks like faux carbon fiber trim on the door trim, and it is soft touch along the top. Now, even though AT4 is the middle trim level, we still get a nice leatherette covering that goes across the upper dashboard. It's a little different than what you get in the Denali trim, more of the faux carbon fiber through there. And you'll see more of that trim down here on our center tunnel, which by the way is padded along the sides. Now let's go ahead and fire it up with our push button start. All right, now let's move into some of the specific details of this interior for the AT4. We'll start off with our gauge cluster. So, a couple things to note here. The screen itself is 11 inches. This is standard on all Acadias. I do want to note, though, compared to the Denali that we looked at, this is a crunchier display. So even though the shape is the same, the resolution is certainly lower on this model. One thing we do have is the head-up display. That's an option on this AT4. It comes in the luxury package, which includes a few other things I'll point out in just a second. If we take a look at the steering wheel, nice design here. I definitely like this latest GMC steering wheel. Nice thick rim on board, good looking design. We have standard heating on even the base Acadia, and manual tilt and telescoping unless you get the Denali trim level. Now, let's turn over here to our center console, take a look at some interior storage. Inside of here, we have one donut. That is because this is Car Confections, and we like to do the donut test. Now, we did test this out on the other Acadia that we were sampled previously, and inside of here, we could fit about 16 donuts. That was our discovery there. We're on a bit of a time crunch, so I don't want to get them back out again. 2 cup holders right there. We also have a wireless phone charging pad, little storage area right there. The cool thing that they've added here is this huge center tunnel. So you have all this center pass-through space where you can stick just about anything down there. That comes courtesy of the electronic shifter. So up here on the column, you just pull down there for drive. You do have kind of miniaturized paddle shifters right here on the steering wheel. And then when we go up into reverse, this will pull up the 360-degree camera system. So the interesting thing about this next generation Acadia is the fact that even the base elevation trim comes standard with the same 360 camera as the Denali. So you'll see that the AT4, of course, is included within that, and it gives you all the different views that you can switch between. It's a very nice camera. I like the resolution. I like all the views that you can switch between. Then just press the end of the stalk there for park. You have an electronic parking brake on the other side of the steering wheel. Now, let's just kind of talk about this big screen area and all the things inside of this screen. So, obviously, as you can see down at the bottom, a big part of that is going to be your climate controls. So the bottom layer is where you can make your adjustments to your 3-zone climate. Now, it kind of appears at first that this is all going to be inside the display, but the thing I'm happy to report is that each one of these buttons underneath does have a corresponding physical control, so you can just quickly make that adjustment up and down. I really like that they haven't eliminated the physical controls on this model. Inside of here, you'll find standard 3-stage heated seats. We have the 3-stage ventilation as well. That's another feature inside of that aforementioned luxury package. We even have our headlight controls inside of the display for this next generation product. Now, another thing we have a physical control for is our audio system. So the Elevation AT4 will come with a 12 speaker Bose sound system, and let's give it a sample right now. So overall sound quality is certainly solid. It really fills up the cabin nicely. Just as typical for a lot of Bose sound systems, it is going to be bass heavy, but you can get a better audio experience if you go for the Denali trim level. That comes with a Bose Performance sound series, and from our sampling, it does have a more refined sound quality. All right, let's take a look at the rest of the display. Overall, we're looking at 15 inches from top to bottom. As you can see, this is what you call a portrait style display. So it's a little bit different than what you see in some other GMC products. Software wise though, it's pretty much the same. This is an Android based system, so you have Google apps built in, including Google Assistant, Google Maps. All that stuff is built into the system. One thing you want to be absolutely clear about though, because there's been a lot of confusion on this does have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. They both run wirelessly on this system. This is a gas product. They will continue to have that. It's only the electric General Motors products that are eliminating Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Now, as we rise above here, we do have a auto dimming mirror. This is also the digital camera mirror. So you flip that switch, it cuts out all the back obstructions. That's something that's packaged with the Super Cruise system, which is also optional on the AT4. And then up top here, we have a large panoramic sunroof.
But now let's go ahead and check out the rear seat area of this Acadia. Now, one of the really great things about this vehicle is that it does have that length, as I was mentioning at the side. That does mean that you have a ton of room. This is actually a class-leading legroom figure. 41.5 inches of maximum second row legroom. That is a ton of room. About 40 inches of headroom. So really impressive figures here. I'm 5'9" for reference, and as you can see, I brought my ruler along for the journey here in South Carolina. We're sitting at about 8.5 inches of knee room with the seat adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", and I can also easily slide my feet up underneath of the seat. So very happy here for an average size adult. You're going to be very comfortable back here. Now, I also want to point out a unique thing about this Acadia. You will notice that we have captain's chairs. That's actually standard equipment on all versions of the Acadia for 2024. Now, one thing worth noting is that bench seating is actually not going to be offered in the first model year. So this is the only way you can get the Acadia when it comes to seating configurations, which will mean that you have 7 passenger seating, not 8 passenger seating. As far as features are concerned, we do have 2 cup holders up top. Down here at the bottom, we have our own climate controls that are nicely adjusted with these knobs. Also, we have optional heated heated second row seats, for this AT4, and we also have a household outlet down below that. Storage cubby underneath. As far as the door trim is concerned, no sunshades are offered on any version of the Acadia. However, the materials are going to carry through from the front, so soft touch on the upper part, that faux carbon fiber trim, leatherette on the armrest portion, and we do also have quite a lot of bottle storage. Your vents for the second row are going to come out up here in the ceiling. Let's check out the third row as well. So in order to get into the third row, we do have a little bit of a different mechanism than we have in other trim levels of the Acadia. So you just grab this little lever right here. That's going to allow the seat to tilt up and out of the way. And I do want to point out you can leave a child seat installed. Honestly, guys, I think this may be the simpler way of doing it. In the Denali, you have a button to push, but this is honestly just as simple to just grab the seat and fold it forward. Now, let's go ahead and hop into the third row itself. As far as this area is concerned, we're sitting at about 32 inches of legroom, about 38 inches of headroom, which once again does place this as one of the largest 3-row offerings in the entire segment. Now, keep in mind, for this seating configuration right here, this seat is adjusted all the way back. So this is your maximum second row space, and I still do have plenty of room, really, for this segment of vehicle, but you can slide the seat forward to give you a lot more space. Now, as far as other things I want to point out, feet do slide up underneath the seat, so that's nice. The thigh support is also quite good. As far as other features, we have a cup holder right here. And then we have vents that are coming out of the ceiling. I am noticing that you do retain the USB-C ports as well here in the third row on the AT4 trim level. And as far as how this ranks on the Car Confections third row rating scale, this is going to be a very impressive spot. So I'm saying this is for adults. And walking up to the tailgate, with this all-new Acadia, you get a standard hands-free power liftgate on all trim levels. It does have their new Auto Sense feature, which senses when you approach the back of the vehicle with the key fob. That will open the tailgate in a similar fashion to what we see in some Hyundai and Kia products for the last couple years. But let's go ahead and talk about the cargo capacity in here, because this is another very impressive area, about 23 cubic feet behind the third row of seats. So that's a very good figure. If we fold all those seats down, we get a maximum of 97.5 cubic feet. Now, speaking of folding the seats down, I do want to point out here on the AT4, you are missing out on the power folding ability. You get that on Denali trim levels, so keep that in mind. But it's pretty easy to fold the seat. You just reach up and use the string to fold it down. I am noticing there's not a second row release, so I will have to go up to the second row itself to fold it down. As you can see, that was a pretty painless process to get those seats folded down. And one of the other things that we do in all of our Car Confections reviews is get a measurement from the back of the driver's seat adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", and we are sitting at a very solid 89 inches of overall cargo length. If we go from behind the second row, it's about 53 inches. From behind the third row, a little over 23 inches of space. As far as the width, it's quite wide. As you can see, I had to keep stretching out my tape measure, 49 inches, and overall height is 32 inches. So very, very practical choice. And if it doesn't fit in the cargo area, you have this whole area underneath that you can store things. And there's also a full-size spare tire. So that's something that some of the rivals don't include. So I am happy to see that on the Acadia.
Alright, so that's a 60 mile an hour acceleration with our Acadia AT4. Now, when it comes to the AT4's, powertrain experience, it is the same as all the other versions, because every trim comes standard with the new 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. So, if we're comparing to the previous generation, you would have had a V6. Now you have this turbocharged 4-cylinder. That being said, this does produce more power. So you're looking at 328 horsepower and 326 pound-feet of torque. I believe that's 18 more horsepower. Even more torque as well. So in terms of your actual power, you are definitely seeing an improvement, even though we have less cylinders.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think the thing that you'll notice the most, especially if you're coming from a previous generation Acadia, or maybe, another competitor that has a naturally aspirated V6, is the torque figure. The torque figure is very, very impressive. It really pushes you back in your seat, and this is a big vehicle. So remember on the outside when I was talking about the exterior dimensions, this is a very large vehicle for this segment, but it's definitely enough power to get this vehicle up to speed quickly and effectively. So I really do like that about this.
Yeah, so kind of taking off on the highway there certainly feels like plenty of power. Like Mason was saying, this is really a lot of power for the class of vehicle that this competes against. I'm thinking about something like say a Pilot Trail Sport. This is going to be really substantially more power than that. Now, as far as other elements of the powertrain, we've got an 8-speed automatic transmission. Very nice and smooth operator on board when you put your foot down. It does not take long at all to get more power to you very quickly. It's very smooth as well.
Yeah. Now, as far as how the power is routed to the ground, this is a special element for the AT4, is that you do have a twin clutch all-wheel drive system. This is actually the only Acadia that you can get a twin clutch all-wheel drive system, and it's standard on all AT4s. So keep that in mind. You know, when it comes to off-road capability, that's certainly going to help you out in that regard. And I do want to point out that we will be doing an off-road specific AT4 video. So if you want to learn more about how this vehicle it handles off-road situations, you can find that on our channel, because we did have the opportunity to do that here in South Carolina. So you'll want to find that video if you want to learn more about that.
Alright, so I was flat out from a stop there. Pretty flat road as well. Gives you a good sample of that 0 to 60 time. Yeah, it moves, it really does. Like I said, most things in this class you're going to find are going to have quite a lot less power, and especially a lot less torque.
Yeah, the only thing I will point out, we experienced this in other versions of the Acadia as well as the all-new Traverse, is that this engine can be a little loud. So as far as things that I am not the biggest fan of, that would probably be the one thing I will knock this engine on, is that it doesn't have any noise amplification coming in, so it sounds very much like a 4-cylinder. So if you're coming from a naturally aspirated smooth V6, you will notice that this sounds different. It sounds maybe a little bit strained at times, even though it isn't strained.
Yeah, right. If you're talking about NVH, noise, vibration, harshness, noise, you can hear it, but the vibration and the harshness is actually very smooth, and they have isolated it out of the cabin quite nicely.
Yeah. But we are cruising along here at 55 miles per hour. So one of the things that we do in all of our Car Confections reviews is we get a sound level reading. So let's go ahead and get that. All right, so we're at 55, fan speed's on 1. 58.2 decibels is what we are sitting at as our sound level reading for the Acadia AT4. Now, when it comes to that sound level reading, I don't have to sit here and guess how that compares to its rivals, because I can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. We post all the cars that we review on this channel, which certainly is a lot, and a lot of this vehicle's competition that you may be curious of learning how it compares. Now, as far as how that compares to a lot of the competition, that is going to place it as pretty much, middle of the pack, if a little bit louder. One of the things I do want to point out about this AT4 is that you do have the all-terrain tires. You saw that on the outside when we were doing the walk-around. That, of course, is going to make a little bit more noise into the cabin as compared to other trim levels of the Acadia that will have the more street-focused tires. I also want to point out, if you choose the Denali with the Reserve package, that's also where you're going to get the acoustic laminated glass to really give you that more premium experience. That's also available on the AT4 with the luxury package as well. But you may also be very concerned when it comes to ride quality, as you should be. This is a family 3-row, first and foremost, and I have to say, when it comes to ride quality, this is a very, very nice riding vehicle, because you have a special off-road tuned suspension, you have the smaller wheels in the lineup, the big meaty all-terrain tires. I think that really does contribute to you having a very pleasant drive experience. Honestly, driving this and the Denali trim level, I think this may have just as good, if not slightly better, ride quality when it comes to big bumps in the road and how it handles that intrusion, as compared to other trim levels of the Acadia, like the Denali with the Reserve package, which is, of course, more expensive than this. So I think that's something to keep in mind when you're cross-shopping between the trim levels.
Yeah, I do think this does ride smoother, and with the all-terrain tires, I'm not feeling really much in terms of like vibration. Sometimes you'll feel kind of a bumpy bump as you go down the road. Not really feeling that here. So this is I think a very solid everyday driving vehicle that you certainly won't be paying a penalty to have the extra capability.
And as far as other things to point out, the fuel economy for this model, you can see on the screen right now. I do want to point out, though, that there is not a hybrid offering or any other powertrain choices. This is going to be a one-size-fits-all experience when it comes to powertrain. All models have this, which is something that I would like to see. Stuff like the Grand Highlander does have a hybrid max that gets better fuel economy and even more power, so I would like for GMC to maybe expand that powertrain selection out. And that is going to be today's airball, which is our least favorite part about this Acadia. Drew, why don't you tell them our slam dunk, though?
Yeah, the slam dunk specifically for this AT4 is the balance between capability and everyday comfort. Right now I'm riding next to a Ford Bronco, and it's just a good reminder, you know, that's a vehicle, the Wrangler, those types of things. They're extremely capable, but you really pay a hard penalty in that everyday driving of those products. When you choose something like this, so long as you're not doing anything super hardcore, this is going to keep you very comfortable on the day-to-day, but you'll also have that extra capability and reassurance when you do go off-road.
As far as last things to mention, we do have a basic warranty of 3-year, 36,000 miles, powertrain of 5-year, 60. GMC does also give you your first complimentary service visit. So let's talk pricing for this Acadia. We started a little under $44,000 for elevation. The AT4 starts at $51,395. Keep in mind, standard all-wheel drive on this model. The Denali is $55,695. Now, if you add in the luxury package like we've sampled out today, we are going to be looking at a mid-$50,000 price point for something like what we've seen today. And if you're looking to buy a GMC Acadia or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and there's also a pinned comment at the top of this video. Now let's talk about potential resale value and reliability to make sure you are making a smart purchase. Now, first up, let's talk about resale value. Now, as an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this GMC Acadia's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years, this Acadia will be worth 55.8% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 21.63%. Now, it's worth noting those are actually quite good figures for resale value. It puts it above many of the other American brands. However, it is still going to be less than something like a Toyota or Honda, for example.
We've also done the same for potential reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account studies from several trustworthy sources and combines them to give you guys a more realistic picture of reliability. In this regard, GMC ranks well above average in terms of its overall reliability.
Now, if you'd like to check out all of our data about reliability and resale values, as well as learn about our methodology, make sure to head to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a car is a big decision, and this is certainly a great place to go, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. And guys, that's going to be where we leave off on this in-depth review of the all-new 2024 GMC Acadia AT4. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, not only are you going to get more car reviews like this, you're also going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I'm sure you won't want to miss out on that. So do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button down below. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.